This program is made possible by the loyal financial support of the friends and partners of Family Policy Institute.
You are the salt of the earth. You are the light of the world.
I'm speaking to Lungi and Bongiwe Moni, and it is such a great privilege to have you in the studio, talk to you about your experience with the Isiseko Family Institute. Now, you have an experience with this institute, so tell us your experience with Isiseko Family Institute.
Thanks, Errol. When we were invited to Isiseko, we went because we wanted to advance, find better ways, improve how we communicated, improve how we lived as a couple. And we were not experiencing any problems. And it actually pointed out things that we were not doing right that could have resulted to a problem. So being with Isiseko helped us to give us ways in when we experiencing a challenge, how we better communicate without it blowing out of proportion.
Yeah, that was very clever because you were proactive. You didn't wait for a problem to happen. You said, look, we're in a marriage and we know that marriage can be challenging, and so we want to go learn. So you basically marriage enrichment, yes. How to overcome the problems, how to deal with it, and that's why you went to Isiseko Family Institute. So Bongiwe, did you find a difference after doing this course? You see a difference in Lungi?
There's definitely a difference in Lungi in how we relate to each other. We were sort of looking for a place that encompassed God's principles about marriage, coming from the premise that says marriage is from God. So when we went to Isiseko, it was just a perfect fit for us. It has strengthened our communication in how we handle our finances, in how we handle our children, and also it has placed a lot of emphasis in us praying for one another, praying for the household, and just having God as the source of everything.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it should be. Lungi, do you think that if every couple that before they got married went for premarital, and when they got married as a young couple went to a class or a course like this, do you think we'd have the high rates of divorce that we have today?
No, because I believe if we equipped ourselves more before we got married, and once we got married, we kept on learning on better ways, on understanding the marriage as a God institute, people will be in a better position because they will understand what they are in and how to deal with it and how to treat it. And I've learned something also in my road with Isiseko, that as a person, you should see yourself to your spouse as someone who is given a ministry by God to show his love to the person, to your spouse. So if you look at yourself like that God identified you to be the minister of his love to your spouse, there's no way you will treat your spouse less than what God intends of you to treat.
Wonderful, because you understand the principles. Now, Bongiwe, do you think that if people don't understand this fundamental principle, that marriage is an institution of God, comes from God, he designed it, and if we don't do it God's way, we cannot flourish, we cannot survive in a marriage without the knowledge and the understanding of God. Would you agree?
I definitely agree with that. Because we found that in our journey, it always goes back to what God says. And if you follow those principles, you will have the most peaceful, the most warm, and the most unified family. So it's either God's way or no way, because he is the one that created marriage.
I love that. It's either God's way or no way. You agree with that, Lungi?
100%, because what an example I normally use is, if you have a Toyota, you don't take it to Isuzu for its service. You take it back to Toyota. If we say marriage is from God, we can't do it ourselves. We have to let God lead us in his institute.
Yeah, he's the one that knows how it works, because he created it in the first place.
Yes.
Very good analogy. So Lungi and Bongiwe, it was such a great pleasure. speaking to you about the Isiseko Family Institute. We pray for your marriage, and we hope that God will raise you up to start something in your areas, because we're hoping people all over the country would start something like this and help young married couples, teach them the principles of God, how to strengthen and keep their marriages together. So thank you for coming into the studio.
Thank you for having us. Bless you.
I'm speaking to Vuyani and Zuki Bue, and they are also with the Isiseko Family Institute. Now, Vuyani, your story is that you were part of Isiseko, but not really attending a lot of their causes. Tell us about your testimony.
We came to Isiseko to please Umbulelo and Umbulelo Bigwani. According to us, we were perfectly fine. And we had attended all the ceremonies. When people would go through the course and graduate, we would always be there. And according to us, we were fine. On the contrary, we were so messed up.
But you didn't know that. And we're talking about your marriage now. You said, our marriage is fine. We're part of this thing. We don't need, the cause. We don't need training and all that because our marriage is fine. And you say then later on you find out that isn't the case.
Was not the case.
And how did you find it out?
The material in the course, it is not the material, it's God in words. It actually exposed who we were. It became like a mirror. It became like a mirror. And we sort of found ourselves. I think the grace of God through the course reached out and found us and repurposed and redirected us to finding each other. Even though we were together, I don't think we still had found each other.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
That's really powerful. And Suki, how did the cause impact your life?
It impacted my life very well because, like Vianney said, we thought we were fine. But the first course we attended, the first module we attended, just revealed that nothing is fine. Everything is not fine. The first exercise we did was, do you still remember what attracted you to your husband or to your wife? I'm telling you, that's not the things we talk about.
But could you remember?
Yes. But yes, I did. Because I know what attracted me to him, but that's not something we talk about. I mean, that happened 11 years ago, so why talk about it? But once we attended that course, we realized that we need to talk about these things to keep reminding ourselves, why did we get married? Because if we don't do that, we forget.
It's amazing you would say that, Zuki, because a lot of the people, my wife and I do a lot of marriage counseling. And when marriages are broken and people are hurt and we sit in front of them and they say it's over, there's nothing left. And we say, wait. We want to take you back to the day you met. What happened when you met? What was that commitment, that love, that passion you had right at the very beginning? If you can go back there and we can go back and find out what happened from that wonderful days when you were staring into each other's eyes. And that, again, like you say, reawakens something in you, because I think all the problems and the issues and the challenges deadens that. But this course took you back to that. Would you, Zuki, would you say that would you recommend this to women and men, young married couples all over this country? Would you say everybody needs this?
Yes, I would. In fact, after the course, I invited my friends to attend it because I wanted them to experience what I experienced. But I say, if you're not prepared to submit, then you're not ready to get married. This course tells you like it is. A wife is supposed to serve and submit. Your husband is supposed to love you. So if you think you're not ready to do that, then don't get married.
So you must go into this course, Vuyani, with an open heart, wanting to learn and understand God's principles for marriage. If you're close to that, it's going to be very difficult for you to change. Yes. In this course.
Change requires people to not have hardened hearts. And change has to start with you first. So for anything to change, there has to be a willingness. And that willingness has to be driven by something. For me, it was being impacted by the information and the course material, which really showed me who I was and not who I thought I was, not who the world thought I was, but it really showed me who I really was. When I took a look at that guy, I did not like him. Wow. I did not like him. I did not like him. And for me, that was when the penny dropped, when things really had to change.
So we shouldn't be measuring ourselves against ourselves. We've got to measure ourselves against the Word of God. And then we understand who we really are and if we're doing well or not doing well. But both of you are saying the same thing, is that we need to understand God's principles for marriage and for family. And once we do that and we live according to that, we're going to have a good marriage. Not a perfect marriage, but a good marriage. And we're going to grow and be strengthened. I'm very encouraged by both of you. And what you said, Vuyani, is very profound. I think it's going to touch a lot of people watching this, that you go to a course or you go to learn about marriage enrichment and you think you know it all, and then you find yourself, or this thing just opens up and exposes you to things you never knew about yourself. But I'm glad you did, and we bless you and your marriage, and we pray that God is going to use you mightily to influence and impact other people's lives, and so we can, just continue with this process of building strong marriages to the glory of God.
Amen, and thank you for having us.